Hi, today's video is going to be about my Indian ringneck Rio and why she passed away, because I did find out the results of why she passed away. And for those of you who are new here, welcome to my channel. And sorry, this video is a little bit, it's not really sad, it is sad because she passed away, but it's more informative. And that way we can all learn about our birds and the diseases that they can get, and you can learn from my videos and to keep an eye on your birds. So Rio was my Indian Ringneck Parakeet. Rio was a female. She was only 8 years old. I'll show you a picture of her. So here she is. Here's my baby. She's a beautiful baby girl. I loved her so much and I miss her. Okay, so Rio, she passed away about a month ago, and it was very sudden. I noticed that she looked very strange. She looked off. She was, kind of hanging her head and not aware of me, not, coming to me, and not, just totally strange, and had a really different stance. She was kind of standing with her legs apart and a little bit wobbly and weak. And the first thing I thought was she had a stroke or a seizure. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. So I took her to the vet and I told them my thoughts, that I thought she had a stroke or a seizure, and I found it odd because she's so young. And they took her in right away, and the vet assumed that as well. So right away they give her fluids and warmth, and they took her blood, and so they can check that. They did some blood in-house, on their own, so they can get results right away. And when they took the blood, it obviously took a few hours. They found that her kidney values were really high, like 4 times as high as they should be. So right then and there, the vet said she had kidney failure, and we had no idea why. He said, did she not have access to water? Obviously she did. I changed her water all the time, throughout the day, 3, 4, 5, as much as I can, because she always dunked her food in there. And I know she was drinking it because the water, was lower, and it's always a mess. And, she had a good diet of fresh foods and some pellets, some seeds as well. And, her chop and whatnot, but, in my experience, a good diet, as good as I can give her. And so we didn't know why she had a problem with her kidneys, except for maybe she was, born with bad kidneys. It could have just been from her parents. We had no idea why. So then the vet found out that her white blood cells were really high, like a lot. So she had some kind of infection, but that probably meant, because her kidneys were bad. So the vet continued to give her fluids, and Rio was looking really bad, really down and under and lethargic and wobbly. So he wanted to keep her overnight. So they send the blood test to another company to do, the other test that the vet clinic can't do. So basically we thought she was dying of kidney failure. So he was going to give her, lots of fluids and some pain medication and, warmth. And I think that's about it at that time. So she was going to stay overnight. So at this point, she was getting weaker and weaker, and they were feeding her, crop feeding her to get her to eat, because actually she stopped eating. She wasn't eating or drinking any water. When I found her in that state, she wasn't eating or drinking. But unfortunately, the next day, Rio did. She passed away. She passed away, and it was horrific. I'm sorry, I don't want to get sad. Just give me a second. Alright, so after she passed away, I spoke to the vet, and the vet was shocked as well, because he's never seen kidney values that high on a young bird, and we were wondering, what was going on. So we agreed to do a necropsy, and the vet, basically, they will, look inside her body and to see if they see anything obvious inside her body. And if they did, you know, then we would know what it is. And if they don't find anything obvious, then some tissue samples will go to the lab and they will do further testing. So when the vet did the necropsy, she did see that her kidneys were slightly enlarged, which is why the blood results were higher. And then she basically, that's all she said at this point. So I really wanted an answer, and I wanted to send out her tissue samples to the what do you call the place, the lab where they do more testing, because I didn't understand why. And we wanted to make sure she didn't have a disease that could be contagious. Like there's other diseases that they can have that will affect the kidneys. So we wanted to make sure. And every time one of my birds pass away, I do a necropsy, just so I know they don't have something that's contagious amongst all my birds. And I want to know for my knowledge. And it's best, you know, if you have a pet bird, or you know, any pet, you have a lot of them, you want to do a necropsy. That way you know that there's nothing going on, and there's, you know, no disease that your pet will have to spread to all your other animals. So if you especially have a lot of birds and one passes away, especially if it's sudden, you should always get a necropsy. And if there's no answer there, you send the tissues out for more testing, and that way you'll know, because there's a lot of diseases birds can have that they hide, and you won't know until you do the tests. So we did the test, and the test came back, and Rio didn't die from, well, you know, the kidney disease we thought she had. The reason she died is because she had yolk peritonitis. I think I said that right. Yolk peritonitis. I'll put it here on the screen. And so basically, you know, female birds can get this because, you know, they do lay eggs. And what it is, so I'm just going to read my notes and what the vet told me. So I had no idea. And apparently, okay, so the vet said, basically, during ovulation, the yolk is released from the bird's ovary into the oviduct. And what happens is, if the egg does not go into the oviduct, it passes that, or it slips out, it goes into the abdominal cavity. And there it causes inflammation. It causes inflammation and pain, and basically it goes into their stomach. And it's sort of like they go septic. Yolk, it causes bacteria. So her white blood cells were high, meaning she had infection or inflammation. And what happens is, when that's in the stomach cavity, it depends on how much is in there, and depends. Some birds can recover from it, but most likely it's fatal. It's very fatal because it spreads to all the organs, and it affected her kidneys. It affected her kidneys and her organs, where she was very lethargic and sick. And what happened is, when they feel sick, you know, in the tummy, they stop eating, they stop drinking, and they get really weak. It's like she got poisoned through her whole body, and she couldn't fight it off. And I didn't know that was the problem. The vet didn't know. The vet thought she had a seizure or stroke, just like I did. And then we figured it was kidney disease, and we had no idea it was yolk peritonitis until I did those tests. And that's why it's very important to actually do all the tests, because if I said, no, I don't want to do the test because it costs extra money, I would never know. I would have just assumed that Rio died from having bad kidneys, or, you know, just her kidneys. I would think that's what happened to her, and I would still be thinking, why, you know? So now I know why, and I'm really glad I found out why. So this can happen to any female birds. So you always want to keep a really sharp eye on your birds. And my vet said, let me just find the note, give me a second. Yeah, so it's not necessarily that she was even trying to lay an egg. So she might not have even be trying to lay an egg. A follicle could rupture. Okay, it happens because they're females, and the follicle can rupture just like that. It causes inflammation, and no antibiotics will help. So she said, most likely, even if we knew what it was, nothing would have helped her. Nothing at all, unless, you know, sometimes smaller birds, the smaller they are, you know, might their body might fight it. It just depends on the bird. But she goes, like 90% of the birds will pass away from this. And she said it's very sudden, because I said, is there anything I should have been, you know, noticing her doing or whatever? She goes, no. She says it's sudden. When it happens, right? It's just goes into her stomach, spreads bacteria all over, makes her sick, and that's it. And they pass away. They pass away. So I just want to tell you why, because you know, a lot of you are asking me. Let me see. And this is not egg bound. This is not egg binding, egg bound. That's different. That's totally different. That's when the egg is actually stuck and they can't get it out. You'll see a lump there. This is totally different than being egg bound or egg binding. Let me just see if I missed anything here. I've got all our notes here. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is what the vet also told me. So when she did the necropsy on Rio, she found the enlarged kidneys. She did see yellow material in the abdomen, and she just thought it was fat. So she didn't even know that it was yolk, and it was yolk. It wasn't fat. And Rio, she was in good body condition. You know, she flew and she was healthy, and they actually seen some food in her crop, but it was, you know, minimal, because she stopped eating probably that same day. And so that was yolk that she saw in her abdomen. And yeah, so that's it. So, you know, I'm glad I found out why. And you know, this is the first time this happened to me with a female bird. And hope you all can learn from my videos, and just keep an eye on your birds and your female birds. And you know, I have a lot of male birds, and that's one reason, because I like the male birds. You don't have to worry about the egg binding, bounding, this yolk stuff and all that stuff. So I like male birds better. You don't have to worry about them too much. You know, you worry about them, but not you would like a female, right? So it can happen to any of your birds, even if they're not laying eggs. They're not ready to breed or whatever. It can happen to your bird. So I hope you got you know, my answers to your questions. If you need to ask me anything, you can ask me down below in the comments. And yes, I do miss my my girl Rio so much. I just you know, can't talk about her too much because I'll cry. Sorry. Hang on. Alright, so if you want to see the video of where my sad video, you know, when I lost Rio, there's pictures of her, videos of her when she looked sick. I'll put the link down below in the descriptions, and if you want to go have a look, you can, because the video of her is her last video that you'll see. She does have a playlist. I'll put that down below if you want to see how beautiful my girl was. And you know, there's some videos, but they're older, and I wasn't really into making, you know, the best YouTube videos back then, but she's still there. You can see her, and I miss her very much. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which will be a happier video. And that's it. So thank you very much. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye.